Hello, listeners, and welcome back to another special edition of the Nigerian Football Weekly podcast. Our new segment called Super Eagles Hot Takes, which we've been running following the Rwanda game to just get your hot takes on how you're feeling after Super Eagles games. So I've got another episode for your listening pleasure based on the South Africa game which took place yesterday in Bloemfontein, South Africa, which the Super Eagles drew 1-1 against South Africa. So thanks again for all the comments and for people dropping their thoughts across all our platforms: TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. Honestly, it's much appreciated and we don't take this thing for granted. So also, I want to thank you guys for really watching the last video on the hot takes. I did not expect to do that well, I'll be honest. You know, we're humble here, so we cut our cloth according to our size. But I thought it was really amazing to see how many people engaged with that video and also really liked it. So thank you guys so much. So without any further ado, let's get into it. Also, remember to check out the actual review video of the game against South Africa, which will be dropping soon as well. And also, we're touching on who our Nigerian players will be playing as club football resumes this weekend, which, boy, am I excited for. So, hot takes from the game against South Africa. Number one, get rid of Simon Moses. Simple. I understand you, my brother. I also think Moses Simon's days, at least as a starter in the national team, are numbered. You know, when you think about the fact that his best position is left wing, Ademola Lookman plays as left winger and he's a better player. I don't think that's in any doubt. We've had players like Chidera GK look like they could come up with the goods at certain points or put together like a really strong case to join the national team, but it must be said that none of them have been able to get close to the consistency of Moses Simon in the national team. You know, even though whatever we think about Moses Simon, this is a player with over 80 caps. He's always available, always ready to serve his national team. I know Philip Botele can play on the right wing as well, but also on the left wing. So that's player playing for Basel in the Europa League. He's bounced around the leagues a little bit, so let's see if he can come through. Or maybe even like a Irasor, you know. But I think in left wing, we're very lucky that we have Ademola Lookman, because we need some new prospects to shine. Although, Iwobi plays as a left winger for Fulham and plays very well. In fact, had his best Premier League season last year. So maybe it's time for our manager to start looking at how these players actually play for their clubs and utilize them in their best positions where they could thrive. So I will agree. I hope we see a bit less of Moses Simon starting the national team. Unfortunately, he has not delivered properly in the last few years and he's still living off performance from 3.5 years ago. NFF officials need to get out because it's mostly their fault. They're not organized and helping us. Guys, I implore you to watch my review of the South Africa game. It was a bit of a long one. And I had enough. You know, when I asked for these hot takes, I said, NFF, I'm coming for you. Just go and watch all my takes there. But just to summarize, you're right. If you fail to prepare to fail. The NFF, compared to what they're handling, and the most important social team in Nigeria, and the one thing that gives everybody hope, you have to admit that they're a thoroughly mediocre organization. And they thrive at being mediocre. Why can't they treat football like India treats their cricket team? If I go to India right now, I'll find multiple venues where you can play world-class cricket. In Nigeria, apart from Uyo, there's no stadium. Where's the training facilities? Where's the hotel they are staying in? Where are the proper grassroots pathways for all our youth teams to progress? Women's team, did they organize good friendly for them? Those ones were lucky that they're so good. When you look at so many things affecting the national team, unpaid bonuses, 30 months. Oluwashino said it's been 30 months. The players have not received their bonuses. What exactly do the NFF do? The local league is useless and not thriving. What do they do? But yet, in a normal environment where there's consequence for bad behavior, all the NFF ESCO members should have resigned today. But yet, we have not heard anything. To show you how bad they are, we then saw someone publish something on the NFF website criticizing Cyril Desas, their own player. Then if I now say they have an agenda against mixed race players or foreign-born players, like the way they treat Maduka Okoye sometimes, people will say, oh, that's a reach. But look at the way they threw Desas under the bus. It's a thoroughly incompetent organization, it has to be said. They thrive in being useless. So until something changes, I don't know where the buck starts or stops. I don't know if it's the Ministry of Sports that can sack the FA president or just demand better, or where's the transparency with the funds, the grants they get from FIFA and CAF. What have they done with it? I saw Congo playing in a nice stadium in their country. all our neighbors in West Africa, they've all hosted AFCON recently. Cameroon have done it. Ivory Coast have done it. Even Ghana did 2008. But can Nigeria host AFCON now? Hell no. We did facility. So let's just be starting, Sha. Blame on the NFF. We've already spoken about NFF just now. Very useless organization. Midfield is not sorted out. I agree. How Onyedika cannot play, I don't understand. He then goes on to say, Ndidi needs to go. Ndidi needs to go. How can you tell me Iwobi is older than him? Moses Simon needs to go. Ekong needs to take a back seat. We need wingers and midfielders. We lost the ticket sacking Jose Pesero because he made the team function which clicked during AFCON. So I think there's a few misconceptions with this comment. Ndidi needs to go now. I don't agree with that Ndidi take. I think Ndidi played well yesterday. I don't understand if we are watching different matches. You can say you want options, like I want Onyedika to play, and I like Onyedika's energy for sure. But I definitely don't think Ndidi's time national team is done. In fact, I thought he put in a really professional performance yesterday and was really useful for us at certain moments we needed him best. Obviously, you can argue about one or two mistakes, a clearance here that did not go well or whatever, but I disagree with the Ndidi take. But this Simon, I understand, he needs to be on the bench. That one I agree. Ekong too needs to be on the bench. He can still be doing captain for us for at least to AFCON from the bench. We need wingers and midfielders. We need more midfielders, I agree. So the likes of Anthony Dennis need to be looked at. Why was he not looked at? Hamza Ojediro, is there a pathway for him to come back into the national team? Ebenezer Akisomiru, the same way they gave Benjamin Frederick his debut while he's playing for the 16th best team in Belgium. Do we do something with calling up Akisomiru from Pisa, who's playing in Syria? Do we do something and call up Anthony Dennis and start building with really young players that we know that, okay, over the next 10 years, they could definitely have a spot in the national team? I think the likes of Aribo, we should not see them again, of course. But I still think Ndidi, Onyedika are still our best three midfielders. But can we do what we're doing with Fredericks with an Anthony Dennis or an Akisomiru? The jury's out. I'd love to see something like that. You know, even with the dual nationals, Les Hugo Chukwu or one of these guys, Eric Bunam at Everton. You know, we have options and people we could call. I think wing, I agree with you as well, my friend. I think we're really struggling for options, especially outside of Lookman. You know, yes, you have Simon, yes, you have Ejuke, but really are these players like putting the fear into defenders? I'm not sure. You know, Fisa Delebashu can play right wing and I expect him to continue there. But when I think about Tella and Chukwueze, obviously we can hope for a Chukwueze resurgence now that he's gone to Fulham. But it must be said that Chukwueze's career trajectory in the past 6 years has not been great, you know. You go for winning Europa League with Villarreal, you play Champions League, you go to AC Milan, one of the most historic clubs in the world. It just doesn't work out for you. And now you're going to Fulham. You know, it's the Premier League still, and Fulham are very good mid-table. So at least in terms of mid-table versus mid-table, because Milan finished 8th or 9th last year, I understand it, and nothing will enhance your rep like playing Premier League, because it's by far the most watched league. Even somebody was getting upset with me one time because I said Aroko Dari and Co gave visibility to Premier League. Guys, it's not my fault the other leagues not promote themselves. In fact, I even respect Nigeria. Nigerians watch La Liga far more than a lot of countries. In England, nobody watching La Liga. So please don't mistake my points. But I do agree, I'd love to see like some new wingers or midfield options come through. You know, when you even look at dual nationals, Eric Bonham, Leslie Gochukwu, as I said, Kari Chukwuemeka, obviously it's highly unlikely if Anwaneri will play for us, but how's Justin Njima playing? You know, can we go and look at him? Noah Dedeji Sternberg, who plays for Genk, used to play with Aroko Dari. You know, even this Rio Gomohai, he can play for Nigeria, that's called for Liverpool. Tyreek George, same thing. Kazim Olagbe, who plays for Rennes, really good winger. He could play for Belgium or Nigeria. No offense, I can understand facilities, but I don't know why anyone would choose Belgium or Nigeria. Like, it's still Belgium. Like, what have they won in their history? Like, golden generation is nice and all of that, but Kazim, come and represent your motherland or fatherland, I beg. So I do understand that take for sure. I disagree on we lost tickets sacking Pesero. As I said already, the first two draws we had was Pesero's fault too. Pesero's fault. Lesotho and Zimbabwe, it was Pesero that prosecuted those games. In fact, Pesero was so bad that we're shocked at how well he played the AFCON because he switched to a back three. And he's the one that chose to walk away while on a high, which I kind of respect him doing because knew what was coming. He made the team click during AFCON, but he was not able to implement systems that we could look at over a long period of time. You know, I do think the NFF after Pesero When they were trying to get Labadia, they should have hired him and stuck with him. All these trying to pander to people talking about home-based. We don't have enough good coaches in Nigeria. It's unfortunate we don't. That's just the facts. Go and hire the best man for the job. South Africans are not complaining that it's not Pitso Mosmane that is their coach, because Hugo Bruce is doing the job. Unfortunately, we still have an issue where we don't have the best coaches. Or most of our players that will go and do their license, they'll rather stay in Europe and get a job that they're sure they'll get paid. Why should they come to Nigeria where they'll not be owing them salary for 1 year? Then everybody be telling them they should be patriotic and keep quiet. So we have a lot to sort out in that department. NFF is the reason we are here, I agree. I saw this coming and finally we have missed 2 World Cups in a row. I'm telling you, we need to learn this lesson. I agree. Never sack a coach that is doing well. We sacked Genoro when he qualified us to the 2021 Nations Cup with games to spare and the 2022 World Cup playoff. I agree. Although Genoro was really having us suffer with that football, man. If I'm not mistaken, we lost to Central African Republic. But hindsight is 2020. Sacking him while he did not finish his playoffs with Ghana, and also to not prosecute the AFCON, I think they sacked him in like 2 months to AFCON, was a crazy decision. I agree. They should have let him see through his work. What was the result? We had our poorest Nations Cup in decades and missed out in that World Cup. We got Pesero. He wobbled at first, but later got better and took us second place finish in 23 Nations Cup. Guess what? He roared was a sack. It was not a sack. He left. Then it dawned on me we had not learned from Genoro's mistake. Now we are sitting at home for another World Cup. I'm not saying you cannot sack your coach. Only sack when they are giving bad results. It's not when they are achieving their results. If you do, the law of karma, which is the God of justice, will teach you a lesson. Now, Genoro that we sacked is at a much better position than Nigeria on the 2026 World Cup qualifier log, even with relatively unknown players. That is football and that is life. Those that ganged up against him have been made to eat the humble pie. I just pray we learn. Thank you so much for that comment. Very detailed, very thorough, and very well thought. I agree with a lot of what you've said. Hindsight is 2020. I think we need to give Mr. Chelle till AFCON. If we do not perform well at AFCON, sack him. Just end it. And then start fresh 2025. Start afresh. 5-year plan. Go and learn from Tunisians. Go and hire the best man for the job. I don't know how they're going to get sponsors to pay their salaries when the NFF keeps swallowing the money and they're broke. But something has to be figured out. Something has to be figured out. This is too embarrassing for Nigeria. To the point that the average Nigerian has fallen out of love with the national team. But they also bought their clubs with passion. For you to have that kind of scenario in a very passionate football-loving country is a disgrace. You don't see Brazilians ever getting tired of the Seleção or feeling apathy, or even the Americans, they will not feel apathy towards the USA team. No South American team, even Bolivia, Venezuela. But Nigeria, the NFF have somehow contrived to let the fans disconnect from national team. And this is a national team that was in the AFCON final 19 months ago. I think that is the biggest evidence of lack of strategy and terrible leadership and organization. The coach and his advice killed the game. He needed a win. Why keeping the key players on the bench? I was expecting Chukwueze immediately after the first half, but he kept him to 80th minute. What nonsense. I totally agree with you. Please go watch the review of South Africa game. I thought Eric Chelle had to live and die by his sword, but making these changes too late. I thought he brought on Uche and Chukwueze on too late, and I still cannot understand why Arokodare did not start the game. So he must take the blame. And like I said, let's see what he can do for the rest of the year, and then we'll take it from there. We still play police football. That's a good way of calling it, police football, because honestly, nowhere to go. No evidence of anything. Arrested football, I guess, just to follow your pun. Everly, my brother-in-law, till the subpar Eagles wake up. Oh wow, that's a good slander name. Till the subpar Eagles wake up and treat the qualifiers like Morocco by winning their first 6 matches and qualifying with 4 games to spare. Nigeria will never smell another World Cup. Oh, this might be one of our ops. Maybe he's Ghanaian or South African, but that was funny. You got to admit. The subpar Eagles. Oh wow. Anytime we mess up, I might use that one. No. SMH. But say Nigeria never smell another World Cup, that's cap. Like, we will miss another one. Although to miss a World Cup with 9 teams is quite an impressive feat, to be honest. We never would have expected it, but here we are. but that's funny. We are not ready yet for the World Cup. Let's try to focus on AFCON. Hot take, I like Chelle, but his try and error method days should be over from the moment going forward. We lack ambition and enthusiasm as a team that needed 3 points. I totally agree. I also agree with you that it's all well and good making good changes when things are going wrong, but Eric Chelle has now been guilty of making bad decisions from the start of games. This is not the first time, so he needs to fix up if he wants his job, because you're not Nigerian and you are not now a European coach. They will sack you with speed. So let's see. Lookman needs to be benched sometimes. Yes, I said it. The African Player of the Year and one of the only people to score a hat-trick in the European final needs to find his seat on the bench sometimes. Match fitness makes a lot of difference for a player. He wasn't ready to start today, but nobody says that, do they? Everybody forgets that with all of his achievements, he's a human being and he should be treated not based on accolades but on form. I know what you mean. I wouldn't say he needs to be benched, but sometimes doesn't need to start. I think the problem is the lack of quality on our left wing, as I've showed you in terms of what our options are, because the only other option you're really looking at is Simon, But match fitness played a big part in Lookman's performances over these qualifiers. This is a player that has not played a preseason, has not played for Atalanta at all, has been in a standoff with his club, and he wasn't match fit. If you play for manager, you can have no injury, but you may not be your match sharpness could be poor, and his match sharpness definitely showed. Even that chance they had down, Bokazi defended against him. I think Lookman 6 months ago slots that one in much more quickly. But maybe I'm being a bit harsh. But I agree, based on form, I get what you're trying to say. But I think the problem is our options. If we have another solid left winger that's thriving, not named Moses Simon, maybe we will not be here. No shortcut to success, and we need to enjoy the humble pie of not going to this World Cup. If we no change and aim for excellence, now same story we go to tell. Kudos to the boys for trying their best. Thanks so much for the comment. Well said, to the point, and also still appreciating the players. I agree, no shortcut to success. I already spoke about NFF. Also, check out my review. I agree. You can't cheat preparation. This is my South African friend that was in all our lives. He's probably enjoyed himself a little bit, but they still didn't win, as I tried to remind him. In all honesty, he says, that Aroko Dario of you is a really good player. So thank you for keeping him on the bench for that long. He's really good, Oga. Eric Chelle, you see what our ops are saying? The one player that scored your last 2 goals as Nigeria coach, you now decided to bench him. You explain that one to God one day when you meet your maker. Because for you to have that kind of destiny of over 200 million people's hands, what's the population of Mali? Mali population 24.48 million. No wonder. Mali's population is the same population as Lagos. Eric Chelle, take time. We'll see you in October and December. If not, it's all over, Jackie. Don't cry, don't beg. We lost the World Cup ticket when we decided to send Pesero away after he had stabilized the team. He was not a fantastic coach, but he had learned from his initial mistakes. Pesero left. If you lose the final, they cannot sack you now. Constantly changing coaches during the qualifiers, what did we expect? In summary, we do not deserve to be at the World Cup. We shouldn't have needed today's match if we had done our homework from the start of the qualifiers. I totally agree, Yomi, and very well said. Obviously, I just clarified the Pesero thing, but you're right at the end of the day. Constantly changing coaches is not going to help. We do not deserve to be at the World Cup if you draw 5 of 8 games. Look, Arsenal, we lost same number of games as Liverpool last year in the Premier League, but we drew 14 games. You have to win games, not be by draw. So I totally agree with you. And we shouldn't have needed today's game. Be honest with this, someone like Genoro would have been celebrating World Cup qualifying yesterday as we just drew South Africa, knowing the way Genoro used to perform for Nigeria. But it is what it is. We go again. The manager has nothing to offer. I understand the frustration, but let's give him time. Shout out my man Corey Day. Thanks for your comment. Probably not a hot take, but the formation doesn't seem to work. Looks like we tried to overload the midfield, but we still lacked control. And then we had no threat on the right. Our goal came from nice interchanges plus direct wing play. We just don't see it enough, or maybe the quality is lacking. You're totally spot on, my brother. In fact, you even brought an angle that I did not even think about like that. That direct wing play. I've heard in the past when they used to talk about Nigeria's style of play in the 90s, and always having fast wingers that can get the ball and cross. South Africa ironically used that direct wing play to even score their goal with that Mohau guy, and even our goal, we scored it from there. But we did not do enough of sizing up their fullbacks, putting them in positions where we beat them and putting the right cross. Our last ball was always so poor, and then I don't know what Chelle was planning in the first half with that right wing. But the amount of times Iwobi gave the ball to Simon on the left wing to do the same nonsense and come back was quite interesting. We tried to overload the midfield, but you're right, we lacked control. I'm not sure what he was thinking playing Ndidi and Iwobi as a double pivot. Like, I don't know what Yedika did to these people, though. I don't know what Yedika did to these people, but I think Eric Chelle, if he does not rectify that in the final 2 games, he will be out of a job before AFCON. Nigeria will be the kind of country that hesitates to chop your job in October before December. So, you're right. I don't think quality is lacking. I think it's coaching and just prep. A little bit of desire, you know, when you think about the urgency the national team showed. For us to have had 4 shots in the whole game, and one of those shots was Chrisant Uche shooting wayward in the 90th minute. You know, that tells us we didn't create enough. You know, thanks so much for that, Corey. Pepito, my bro. We need to honestly retire those entities in our team. Football is no longer names but form and fitness. Some players in the Eagles should bow out by now. How long do we manage names that are no longer functional? Not for the own goal, but Ekong should have left in Musa. He is already weak. You can't cheat nature. However, now bloods with zeal is all we need now, like Benjamin. Osai is not improving. Bruno confidence is diminishing. Above all, cohesiveness is lacking in our front, despite our stars. I agree on the point about cohesiveness. I thought Osai Samuel was pretty decent in the game, apart from that mistake him and Frederick put themselves into. I agree on the Benjamin Frederick comment. He looked pretty good. I agree that Ekong, it's time for him not to start. I still think he has something to offer in the team, at least until the end of the year, because we still really lack leaders. I don't think Ndidi is a leader of national team. In my opinion, the moment Ekong retires, make Osimhen captain. Make your best player captain. Stop wasting our time. But that's just my personal opinion. Or it will be as the longest serving player. But I would prefer Osimhen personally. But I see what you mean. It's definitely, you know, football is not by names, it's by form and fitness. So I understand your take on there. And I've spoken about that anyway. Over the past 2 games, we rarely used the right wing to attack. He then played Dele Bashiru at right wing during the second half. Like, seriously. Iwobi had to fall back to track and support Ndidi and already had crowded attacking lanes by the time he gets the ball. Something that would have been avoided by playing a double pivot. And why start Desert and trying to launch crosses to him when he's not a target man? My brother, you are spot on. The launching crosses to Deserts, Eric Chelle will explain to God above. Because he could have played Aroko Dari, who's more of a target man, but he did not, and they were now crossing the ball towards Deserts. Absolute F9 from the coach on that one. Iwobi and playing double pivot. I thought they tried, but I see what you mean about Iwobi having to track back a spot in Didi. If you had Onyeka or Yedika who have more of the legs to be a box-to-box threat, that would have made more sense. I thought Fisaya Delebashi was alright on the right. He got the assist for the goal. But I agree with you that they did not put him in enough positions where he could cook his fullback or show his directness. This is a player that constantly gets goals for the Super Eagles based on his few caps. So I think Fisaya can understand that right wing. But as I said, also looking at the overall team, our options are right wing. Chukwueze has not really progressed. Taylor needs to score more goals for us to be sure about him, which he has not done yet. But I do agree that our attack has a lot more work that needs to be done. I think the first half formation was okay. Whether Ekong scored an own goal or not, it can happen to anyone. The issue I have is why don't they play with 2 wingers? Why always Moses Simon's wing? Also, Simon disturbs Lookman's play. It's either the 2 of them. Well, Bruno shouldn't have played. The first match he exposed himself, and I don't see any business of his in the second half. It's unfortunate we are where we are, but he said we move. Thanks for your comments. I agree that Ekong's own goal was unfortunate. People are being a bit harsh on his own goal, but we can understand why they're scared about that. Honestly, I do not understand the whole 2 wingers thing because our right wing was non-existent. Also, Eric Chelle must have told Simon and Lookman to occupy the same spaces. Maybe he wanted them to combine, but that definitely was not what we saw, man. So, once again, Eric Chelle has to come and explain to them. I thought Yemachi was alright, unless I'm thinking of someone else. Unless you mean Deserts. But thanks for that take, my bro. No hot take. Worst Super Eagles of all time. Couldn't qualify again despite the increase in slots for African teams. Cannot even make the playoffs. Shame on the entire Ministry of Sports and the NFF. I agree with you on the shame on the Ministry of Sports and NFF. It's a big shame. For Nigeria to not even be able to get into the back door. that they kind of give us is an absolute disaster. And they increased our slots to 9 and we couldn't make it, I agree. When we used to qualify when it was only 5 slots. I do disagree that it's worst Super Eagles of all time, though. I think it's the worst qualifying campaign we've put together since we started making the World Cup. I'll let our senior Egbons tell us about the 80s and what that looked like then. But I think that's a bit harsh. But in terms of qualifying campaign, definitely the worst. And hopefully, this will be the last time we'll see our team perform this poorly in a World Cup qualifier. I always say I want people to respect Nigeria. Big nations do dispatch teams in qualifiers. Qualifiers are always a formality. And until we reach the point where it's a formality, like how Morocco are now treating qualifiers and Senegal, we will not get to where we need to get to. Can the hiding NFF president resign now? Please go watch my review of the Nigeria game versus South Africa. Similar sentiment. Gusau, I don't know what you do. I don't know what you bring to the table. I don't know what your impact is. Please be going. Be going. Thank you. Frederick is the new big thing. I agree. We've glazed him enough. Shout out to you, Benjamin Frederick, man. I was one of the people that thought it may be good for you to be on the bench because of experience from Ekong, but you proved me wrong, and I ate my humble pie. You played so well. You made a big mistake with Osai that could have cost us, with that player now taking the shot that was straight at Nabali. Sorry, that was the only shot on target in the game, not the own goal. You know? But the way he grew into the game and the pressure, the amount of times he mopped up the balls, won his aerial duels, also calm on the ball, good on his feet, won any battle. I don't remember any South African player getting the better of him. I thought he was excellent. So I agree with that comment and thank you so much for that take. At Akata Chi says, all I will say is that sad that those players wouldn't go to the World Cup for the second time in a row. My friend, I agree, it was sad, but you know, we go again. Look. We find joy in other areas. Music will continue to give us joy. We'll support our African brothers and we'll always go again. The beauty about football is there'll always be another time. So we go again. God bless Basi and Iwobi. I agree. God bless them too. Make sure you watch them as they play for Fulham this weekend. And Chukwueze looks to make his debut as they host Leeds at home at Craven Cottage. Iwobi and Basi, only guys who seem to know what they were doing most of the match. Shout out to the Fulham contingent again. Desert should never start again. A bit harsh, but I think the manager threw him to the wolves. He never should have started. And I don't think he would ever start for Nigeria again, unfortunately. You know, especially with the whole debacle with NFF abusing him. But the Simon can't start either. I hope so too. The good news is by October, Lukman should be match fit to resume his left wing role. So I hope Simon does not start for Nigeria too. Oche should be a starter. I agree also. Build this spine. Play that man. And then finally, at Ricky Ayele. Olu, have you been outside Nigeria? Ricky Ayele. I cannot pronounce your Yoruba name again. Ayeye. Ayele. Sorry. Hey, forgive me. Oh. NFF needs to be restructured and start paying attention to the team before games or championships. Spot on, my friend. They need to be restructured. We don't know what they do in that place. We have no clue what they do in that organization or what they tell them to do at all. I totally agree with you on that one, that like they need to stop wasting our time. You know, it's just an absolute disgrace. And I totally agree with you on that take, especially before championships. The basics need to be gotten right. The basics, the things you take for granted, as I always say. Facilities, stadium, training, bonuses, preparations, the right physio, the right staff, accommodation, transport. A lot of things we take for granted when you watch your Premier League club or the top national teams. Nigerians are still struggling. They are owing them bonus for 30 months. They cannot get their name on the jersey. They never see your culture on the back. So I totally agree with you. And hopefully one day we'll see the NFF change. But I doubt that will be today. Let's see if we finally don't make it first. There may be some heads roll in October. And it's so annoying because you want Nigeria to do well in the AFCON because we want to watch our team do well. But you know that if we now go and win AFCON or do something well, those same useless NFF board members will now try and attach themselves to the success, despite how much they do to sabotage the team. So we'll see what happens anyway. Look, it's done. We go again in October. But I want to say a big thank you for everybody giving me your hot takes. Much appreciated. Let me know if you really like this series, and we'll continue for all the remaining Nigeria games as well going forward. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. I want to thank everybody who's given us any view or like or anything on the channel. We're now over 4,300 subscribers on the road to 5,000. Remember, we're at Nigeria Football Weekly on all our social media channels except Twitter, where we're at NFWPOD. Until next time, I'll be yours, Oluoke. Please make sure you check out the Nigeria vs South Africa review episode. And remember to watch all your club football this weekend. I'm sure it'll spark some more joy, Shout out to us Arsenal fans. We have Nottingham Forest, so let's see how that game goes. But until next time, I'll be yours, Oluoke. Remember, no episode for the next 10 days, just to take a bit of a break. But we're coming back bigger and better. Enjoy all the football, and I'll see you on the next episode of the Nigeria Football Weekly. Take care and ciao.
Thanks for watching this video. Please like, share, subscribe, and click the bell to get a notification whenever we drop a video. You can also find our social media channels listed below. And of course, up Super Eagles and Nigerian, they ever carry last.